Good afternoon. I'm Johannon Ben-Zion, the voice crying in the wilderness, speaking of a technological New Jerusalem. And these are the techno-communism conversations. I'm kind of maybe going to do a kind of show I haven't done in a while that I would do before, where we talk about tech headlines, mostly just fascist garbage. You know, this is one of these from VentureBeat, right? Is VentureBeat really have that much to say to a cybernetic socialist? Yeah, a little bit. There's kernels of truth there. But the idea is maybe to give, in an amusing and succinct way, an overview of what the state of the science of cybernetic socialism could be, based on the state of the art of the bourgeois filth that is the tech world, and trying to just glean the useful kernels there for you. So the VentureBeat article is about LG having an open source AI challenging the global tech giants. It's a headline. Open source AI is really all I need to see in a headline to usually read the article. The other one is one from livescience.com. I'd already shared with Eri. We both agree that it sucks, but maybe again there's a kernel of truth to it. This is about Singularity Net, a company that I've been fairly familiar with for a few years, even known some people in that organization over the years. I used to have a man crush on one of the people in this organization. I won't say their name. There's no need to always be name-checking people. As kind of a person who I used to think, man, this is like the cybernetic socialist who's going to save us all, right? And, you know, the chances of that happening are not absolutely zero. But I've come to understand this field a little more, and the bourgeois clowns in it a little more, and so I'm not gonna I'll just say that this person I met before. I memed them, and so we were kind of friends and connected on social media, and I disconnected from them on social media recently. And the reason is I saw an article. I may have overreacted. Okay, let's say first I may have overreacted. I have a trigger where if I find out that somebody is tied to a U.S. or Western intelligence agency, I immediately want to block them or hurt them. And because I've been fucked around by people from intelligence agencies before, and I want to block them or hurt them. He said, and I don't even know why he said it. It was just something he said in passing in one of his lectures, that he had ties to an intelligence agency. And I was like, everybody else that I've known, those if I know they've had ties to an intelligence agency, and sometimes they'll ask people, have you ever worked for a right-wing think tank? Have you ever had a high-level intelligence agency clearance? Have you ever worked in anything remotely like that? And if they say yes, I say, oh, okay. It's okay, don't worry about it. And then I would never speak to them again or block them or maybe key their car. So he said this apropos of nothing in a lecture that I was watching. I was like, you know what? Fuck this guy. But that's not to say, who knows, maybe he's the great techno-messiah that will lead us all to the promised land. So that's about Singularity Net. This Singularity Net article, you know, if I had the chatbot analyze most of the lectures that I've done in the last year on the subject of the AI-gentic class / Proxy hive mind workgroup automation project, if I had them analyze those lectures and say, okay, now give me a synopsis of all of those together, and then have them analyze what's said in this article, they would say these match up pretty closely. But I'm going to talk about maybe why they don't match up that closely, which basically comes down to, like, these people not being cybernetic social. Like Eri, one time Eri and I had a bad fight, because he's more of an anarcho-syndicalist, and I'm more of a scientific socialist. So one time we had a bad fight, right? But we're still friends. We would still work together on building the Proxy hive mind. Maybe he probably wouldn't work with me. He thinks I'm no talent bump, but I would still work with him. But anybody to the right of that, they can eat shit, right? Because they're not going to build something that's going to that is going to, a way of thinking about this is people say the singularity is nigh, right? And you say, okay, what's that mean? What's that? What's going to happen? That's going to be good, right? They said, no, it might be a little bit good for you, but it could be very bad. It will either be slightly good for you or very, very bad for you, right? These people are selling a trickle-down economic scam. That's why they have no interest in a revolutionary outcome. So you would say, to contextualize it, you say there's 1 billion people on planet Earth who are born, they never have enough food or water to drink, and then a few short years later, they die without those adequate food, potable water, housing. One of those three things is lacking, more than one, and then they die. That's a description of many, 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 many people. A non-zero percentage of people on Earth. You say, okay, Ben, I don't think it's 1 billion. It's only 600 million. Okay, fuck you. And you say, okay, so is this singularity going to lead to that not being the case? That everyone has food? That everyone has a house? No, probably not, the technologist will say. The technophile will say, no, probably not. It probably won't affect that. And it probably won't, it'll turn someone into a trillionaire. It might make your life worse in the West. It definitely won't help them. Could we build an economic system that could, say, reverse the effects of climate change? Oh, no, that's stupid. We're just going to die. That's who all of these people are, right? I'm not saying everybody in Singularity Net wants the planet to die, right? But when it comes down to building that work group that actually could become enough of a critical mass to transform economic systems, they will shit the bed, right? Because some of the people in that organization work for intelligence agencies, and some of them work for right-wing think tanks, and some of them are just chicken shits, and anybody else who would want to do something good is not going to be in a position to do that. They're just setting themselves up to make a lot of noise and then shit the bed. And let's put that in context, okay? Anybody with, say, $8 million and a couple of thousand GPUs and a couple of thousand people volunteering could build that thing that I just described. That could supplant the economic system of the fascist U.S. and West that's killing the planet. That's easy, right? That's easy if you're not a fuck up. But you won't find a technologist who's not a fuck up. It's not because they're stupid. It's because they're trying to work within a system that will not allow them to ever do that. If you want to build something like this, you'd have to build it in a decentralized way. Unfortunately, it could have been state actors who built this sort of thing. I don't know that it will be as all is revealed in the fullness of time. But like Chile built CyberSyn, Chile was then butt-fucked by the fascist United States for building a technological planned economy. That's a recurring theme in history, right? Socialism doesn't work. We killed everyone in that country because I guess socialism doesn't work. We killed all the socialists. Fucking animals, right? Find a tech person who is not pretty well allied with that. You won't. You'll find a couple. But it's 1 in 1,000 or something. Okay, let's put it in the context of, okay, so 600 million people in the global south with distended belly type situation their whole life. That's horrible. All right. But what is a person who's starting an organization elsewhere to do with that in the first year? So let's say this AI takeoff. Let's not say this technological singularity of 2045. Let's say the beginnings of an AI takeoff that has transformative effects in 2029. That's very likely. Does this AI takeoff, let's say, lead to the people in the country where it's happening the most having a situation where data is considered more like a human right, a public good? You can't do things without data, so therefore it must be a public good. It must be treated as a human right because you can't operate in this world without it. The United States, knowing that an AI takeoff was likely to happen, just a few months ago, cut a program for poor people called the Affordable Connectivity Program that was treating data as if it was a human right for some millions of working poor people. So they got rid of that, right? Fuck those guys. We can't have people participating in building a proxy hive mind. We can't have people getting ideas about saving the planet from extinction. I'll just read the whole article. Why the fuck not? Researchers plan to accelerate the development of artificial general intelligence with a worldwide network of extremely powerful computers, starting with a new supercomputer that will come online in September. It kind of sounds like the headline that I've read about this Singularity Net thing. AI spans technologies including machine learning and generative AI systems. The latter offer predictive reasoning based on training sets from large data, and they can surpass human abilities in one particular area based on the training data. They are subpar at cognitive or reasoning tasks, however, and cannot be applied across disciplines. I don't think that they are subpar at cognitive or reasoning tasks compared to a human. A human can work on this kind of thing for a couple hours a day. I was saying to Al, I have one smart chatbot and two dumb chatbots talking to each other, and I give them a couple of prompts, mostly copy-paste stuff, kind of stuff you can get online, right? You can go on Reddit and say, what are some good words that I can use to keep my chatbot for doing what I want it to do? And find hundreds and hundreds of commands like this. You don't have to be a prompt engineer, really, right? Like, you can just let somebody else do the work. So I have this bank of prompts, and these three chatbots are talking. Sometimes I throw one of these prompts in there. So they came up with this kind of amazing idea. They come up with tons of crap. But they came up with this kind of amazing idea of a food truck called Mr. Roboto, where the song Mr. Roboto plays in the glass box of a food truck. And there's a robot, a kitchen robot you can buy for like $5,000 in there. And he's like, and there's lights flashing around. And the computer came up with this. I didn't come up with this. And he's serving boba tea out of the food truck that he kind of made. Has to be prepared in advance, but he serves it, and it's a unique boba concept that the computer also came up with. That's a combination of boba balls with a molecular gastronomy twists, and the recipes are kind of awesome. And so there's all these like flavors and colors and boba stuff, and the smart chatbot basically came up with this, and the dumb chatbots were like, "Gee, boss, what else?" And they just kept going back and forth for a couple hours with me saying, sometimes saying, "Oh, that's not productive" or something. And they came up with this idea. Like, you could pay a bunch of Madison Avenue dickheads to come up with an idea of about that caliber after they worked on it for like a month or something. These guys did it in like a day, but they're kind of working at that same pace on other stuff that mostly doesn't make that much sense. I kind of reject the idea these hive made up of Mistral LLMs, or in this case, Llama 3.1 LLMs, or at least one Llama 3.1. I would have more than one Llama 3.1 LLM, but I just don't have the hardware to run multiple Llama LLM 3.1. Yeah, so, okay, I'll continue. AGI, by contrast, is a hypothetical future system that surpasses human intelligence across multiple disciplines and can learn from itself and improve decision-making based on access to more data. The supercomputers built by Singularity Net will form a multi-level cognitive computing network that will be used to host and train the architectures required for AGI, company representatives said in a statement. These include elements of advanced AI systems such as deep neural networks, which mimic the function of the human brain, large language models, and multimodal systems that connect human behavior such as speech and movement inputs with multimedia outputs. This is similar to what you would see from AI videos. So you pay these guys, or you can use their environment for free in a limited way, and you might be able to get some of the effects of the kind of automation work group that I've described. But it doesn't matter if you open a fucking boba truck or build your shitty fucking consulting firm on a dying planet, right? 2029 is a time that I've said that some dramatic effects of an AI takeoff might begin to occur. It's also the time, not wholly coincidentally in my thinking, when if we don't dramatically change the economic system, we will have reached runaway overheating in the years to follow that will cause planet Earth to be uninhabitable for all or most of human beings, leading to an extinction or near extinction event. It's very unlikely that you will survive that, even if you're, especially if you're a billionaire, I would think. But maybe it's unlikely that anyone can predict who will survive that. That's a bad thing to happen, right? And I remember this game, like life simulation game, I'm playing this tiny kid. And, you know, it's a game where there's all these sharks and all these fish floating around the sea. And you're like, man, look at all these fish. I'm a shark. I'm eat all these fish. And then the sharks keep reproducing. There's not enough fish. Then the fish population collapses, and then the shark population collapses. So you can play this game in such a way that no populations will ever collapse. Like that's probably, it's good. There's just genetic evidence that says that at a certain point there were 600 human beings left. So a thing like this is very well may have happened before. There were more people, and then there were only 600 left. Do you think that you would be one of those 600? All I do is think about this stuff all day, and listen to works to do with building the revolutionary cybernetic socialist worldview, or building my understanding of revolutionary thought generally. So computer science books or history books and political philosophy books, basically. All I do is listen to audiobooks of this kind. A lot of times while doing close combat or military simulations in VR. So I have the sound down pretty low with the VR and listening to audiobooks of these particular kinds. So you could say that I'm conditioning myself to be a survivalist in that specific context. And I would say there's still 1,000 to 1 chance that I would be in that remnant. Even if that remnant is 600, 800 million people. There's no way of predicting what that world is going to look like, but it's going to be bad. In the course of the last 12 months, so according to a study that came out last month, no new CO2 has been converted to oxygen in the aggregate on planet Earth. The lungs of the world, the oceans and rainforests, are shut down because of the beginning of this runaway overheating effect, essentially. It's a little more complicated than that, but that's really all you need to know. And all you really need to know is that this is down to capitalism's climate apocalypse. There's almost no chance that these people who are allied to Western tech firms, who are themselves allied to military, who are military contractors, or swimming in these waters and surrounding themselves with a bunch of right-wing think tank and intelligence agency jokers, there's no way that they will do anything but greenwash the problem and continue to make it worse. That's the environmental impact of just Microsoft and Google has been studied, and it's gone from large to massive in recent years because of for-profit machine learning. Because of that essential problem of these being military contractors beholden to an unsustainable system worse than anything out of fiction. When James Bond gets tied up by an evil guy who wants to, what does he want to do? Like sexually enslave a bunch of women or something? Wants to do something sort of bad, but not super bad. And he says, "I'm going to shoot a laser into your eye, Mr. Bond." You say, "Well, man, this is so intense. This movie's intense." It's the fascist United States is killing your planet, not doing anything about it. It's worse than a horror film. The road to AI superintelligence, according to the Singularity Net team, is this analysis is not entirely off base. I don't think the idea that a networked superintelligence, this proxy, something like the proxy hive mind, is more likely to produce superintelligent effects than artificially generally intelligent effects first. So I do agree with this intelligence asset who shall not be named. I guess I shouldn't have said the name of the article. God. Okay, back to the other story. This one's also of interest just because you probably, if you follow this stuff closely, you might not have heard of this LG product, but you've probably seen almost the same article before about SingularityNet. LG AI Research has launched EXA 1 3.0. The Republic of Korea, the bad Korea, not to be confused with the Democratic, the DPRK, the good Korea, Korea's first open source artificial intelligence model, marking the country's entry into competitive global AI landscape dominated by U.S. tech giants and emerging players from China and the Middle East. The 7.8 billion parameter model, which excels in both Korean and English language tasks, aims to accelerate AI research and contribute to building a robust AI ecosystem in Korea. This move signals a strategic shift for LG, traditionally known for its consumer electronics, as it positions itself at the forefront of AI innovation. By open sourcing EXA 1 3.0, LG is not only showcasing its technological prowess, but also potentially laying the groundwork for a new revenue stream in cloud computing and AI services. That's describing